Welcome back, everyone. It is Sunday sit-down time. We are in Coach Drink's house this week for Sunday sit-down. Eli, thanks for joining us. How's the summer been? Give us the overview of the summer for you.
Yeah, it's been really good. Our guys have been incredibly diligent with how hard they've worked. I think the plan that we've had in place has really maximized both the football skill set and then obviously Coach Russell with his Elite Edge program. It's been a whole lot of fun to watch these guys grow and develop, bring in the transfers, get those guys accustomed to how we operate, see not only the skill acquisition but also the playbook acquisition. I think that's been really good. And then obviously we've also got to see the north end zone renovations come to life too, so it's been a lot of fun this summer.
Well, I was going to ask you, I mean, we're looking at it right now. How crazy is it to see, you know, it feels like it came up in an instant, and now we're seeing scaffolding and kind of the outline of this thing.
Yeah, it's been really awesome to see it go from what it was the last game of the year to what it can be. And obviously it's a lot bigger project than maybe I even envisioned. So it's really cool to see those guys working every day. And I'll tell you this, man, those construction crews are at it 6 days a week. They're really working hard. And it's kind of been inspiring to our players too, because we have early morning workouts and those guys are out there working when we are too, so it's fun.
Well, I want to talk about the team. It feels, you know, a little different this year. You don't see Brady Cook, you don't see Luther Burden, Johnny Walker, you know, guys that you're used to seeing around here. How different does it feel for you kind of going into a season without those guys?
Yeah, you know, I think we've had some of those realizations, whether it's been at spring football or in some of our team meetings, those guys not being on the first floor. You know, those guys have been with us for a long time and have kind of been pillars to our success. But it's opportunities for new guys to really take hold of the leadership. I think the missions trip, the service trip that we took to Jamaica with the juniors and seniors has been really important for us to establish new leadership, new voices, allow some guys to really step forward in that capacity. And I think it's been a really awesome thing to watch those guys' voices take hold this summer.
In terms of the brotherhood you guys are trying to build, I'm sure it's built a lot when you're running up and down those bleachers on hot days in the summer. How have you kind of seen them forging that so far this offseason?
Yeah, I think obviously on Fridays when we run our decks, you know, that's obviously a tough time. I think I've seen it running decks. I think I've seen it on Saturday mornings. I think I've seen it in our practices and our walkthroughs against each other, and then obviously I've seen it you know, on the Jamaica mission trip. So it's been a unique summer, but I think there's been a lot of growth, and a lot of growth because it's been uncomfortable, both for coaches and players. You know, I think coaches get into a comfort level of, okay, you know what Brady's going to do, you know what Johnny Walker's going to do, you know the experience coming back. We've got a lot of new guys, a lot of new potential, and I think there's a level of urgency amongst the coaching staff that I've appreciated. Because we do have an opportunity to have a good football team.
In terms of when you have a change in leadership like that on the offensive end, obviously you had such consistency with Brady, then obviously he graduates as people do in college. You know, what's the challenge of that going into a season when you do obviously are going to have a change in leadership? Yeah,
I mean, I think it's the uncertainty, right? You know, with Brady Cook, what you were getting on a day-to-day basis from a leadership standpoint, a quality of human being, a quality of work. You knew every day who he was going to be. And now it's just a new opportunity. You've got guys who are competing and they're very consistent and have been a great job, but you don't necessarily have all the knowns out there. I think it's been a great opportunity for other guys to step forward. I think we've seen a growth in Connor Tolson, in Caden Green's leadership, Josh Manning's leadership. And I think, you know, on the defensive side of the ball, we've seen some other guys lead too. You know, Dominic Judice is a guy that's come in and really established himself as a consistent worker and a leader for our football team. And I think that's really helped us grow and allowed both Bo and Sam the room not to try to force their leadership, but to continue to focus on themselves to be the best version of themselves.
Well, I want to touch on the returner first, Sam. How have you seen his growth since he's been at Mizzou? It's obviously good to see him get out on the baseball field again as well.
Yeah, it's been awesome to watch Sam go from the heralded two-way prospect to fight adversity, to battle, and then to perform at an elite level in the opportunities that he had in the baseball. You know, I think the last 15 innings, you know, I don't know if he gave up one earned run and had multiple strikeouts. And so, you know, for him to be able to achieve an elite level ability That's exactly why you come to Mizzou. You know, he's still working day to day to get back into full-time football. It's awesome the summer access we have, so we're actually out there able to coach him throwing the football and developing that timing with the wide receivers. But been impressed with his progress. You know, Bo Pabula has been very steady. He's a guy who understands competition. He's been in these before. He understands what his process is. I've been very proud of the way he's picked up the playbook. I've been very proud of who he is in the weight room. I mean, he's an excellent competitor, and I think both of those guys are bringing the best out of each other. I think, you know, it's as we get closer and closer to fall camp, I think each guy is getting a little bit more competitive, and we got to just remember as a group that it's about getting the team success, and so they're running their own race. It's really not Bo versus Sam. It's Bo versus Bo and Sam versus Sam to be the best version of themselves. And at the end of the day, somebody's going to be extremely disappointed, but they're going to be able to lay their head on their pillow knowing they did the best they could with the best circumstances they had to be the best that they could be. And we'll deal with that as a group afterwards.
When you talk about the receivers, it's going to be weird to see someone wearing number 3 at Faroe Field that isn't named Luther Burden, but Kevin Coleman, I'm sure, going to make the number his own. What do you like about, you know, what you've seen from him so far in a limited look at spring ball?
I think Kevin's been an awesome addition because he hasn't tried to be anybody other than himself. And he wanted to wear number 3 because that's a number that he's worn, and he wants to put his own spin on it. And he's been an incredible leader in that group. I think he's been consistent in bringing that group together. I think he's been very consistent working with both quarterbacks. And so very, very glad that he was able to choose the University of Missouri, and look forward to him being the best version of himself. I think we've got a really deep wide receiver room. And, you know, we're going to have to do a really good job, an even better job than we did last year of creating an explosive pass game. And that's really been the challenge that we've had for both Coach Moore and Coach Peeler is we have to be more explosive in the pass game. We have to use our tight ends more vertically down the field. And so I think this summer has been really good, you know, letting Kevin be that guy, but also challenging us to be better.
Well, Ahmad Hardy, I feel like he's kind of taken social media by storm a little bit. Have you gotten to meet Coco the horse yet at all?
No, but I've met Ahmad, the Bassmaster Classic. I mean, the dude is an extreme outdoorsman. Not only does he ride horses, but he's also out there, you know, fishing in ponds all throughout Columbia. So, you know, he's been a wonderful kid, great young man, elite level work ethic. He was a guy that when down in Jamaica, I mean, that guy can flat out work. And no job was too small for him, and no job was too big for him either. I mean, that guy was laying concrete and digging holes and carrying maul around. I was really proud of who he is, and that's an incredibly deep room. I think we all know who Jamal is, and he's been a great leader and consistent player for us for 3 seasons now. And I think Marquise Davis is really going to be a guy that we're excited that we have. He showed some explosiveness in the spring, and then, you know, T-Man, Tavares Jones has had his most consistent spring that I've seen, and so I'm very excited to see how this competition unfolds in the fall.
Well, I want to talk defense. What's your overall view on it? It seems like you have a pretty deep on that side of the ball. You know, what do you like about this defense this season?
Well, I think, you know, when we went back and decided, okay, what do we need to do to improve our defensive production from last year, it all started with defensive ends. And how do we continue to get more pressure on the quarterback without having to rush, and how can we speed up the quarterback, and how do we contain elite level athletes on the perimeter? And, you know, it started with us going and replacing some guys. Obviously, losing a guy like Johnny Walker is always going to be very difficult. And you have the returning production of Zion. So we went out and signed some guys. Feel really good about Darius Smith coming back. Feel really good about, you know, replacing production, you know, and really viewing production over potential. Went and got Langdon Kitchen, who has performed really well at the Division II level. Nate Johnson, who is a freshman All-American at a Sun Belt level. Dame Wilson, who's been very effective in this league. I've been very proud of what Javion Hilson has done in his short time, and so that room is incredibly deep, and Very excited about what those guys will bring. Defensive tackles, Chris McClellan's been a very productive SEC player for a long time. Sterling Webb is a guy that you can count on. Marquise Graciel's been very consistent for the last 6 months, the most consistent 6 months that he's had. And then we went out and added Braylon Henderson from Ohio. Just felt like we needed one more body in there. That front line, I think, really should be able to affect the quarterback, contain the quarterback, and stop the run. Our linebacker crew, obviously, with the addition, being able to retain Tristan Newsome after the junior college rule, I think was really big. Getting Khalil Jacobs back from injury, I think he's really hit his stride. You know, you sign an All-American, Josiah Trotter. I think if you asked anybody in our building who had the best spring defensively, it was Nick Rodriguez. You got Jeremiah Beasley coming into his own. That room is incredibly deep. You know, Coach Saban called to prepare for SEC Media Days. The first person he wanted to talk about was Jalen Catalon in the safety room. You know, a guy who's played a lot of football here in this league at a really high level. You got returning starters, Marvin Burks and Dalen Carnell. You added Mose Phillips and Santana Banner. You got Trajan Greco. So that safety room is incredibly deep for those three positions that we like to rotate. And then corner. You know, we returned every snap from last year at corner and then added Stephen Hall. So that competition's good. We've got to get our confidence back at the corner position. I think we lost a little bit of that confidence last year. I think we gained that confidence back by being able to affect the passer with our pass rush and speeding up the quarterback and letting those guys really play more aggressive at the line of scrimmage. So we're really talented. We're really deep. But now we got to put it together.
Well, when you look at sustaining success, it's hard to do, but you guys have had back-to-back 10-win seasons. You know, what do you feel like is the key to maybe keeping to build on that and obviously not reflecting too much on the 2 10-win seasons you had as it's a new year?
Yeah, I think the challenge for us is to do something that's never been done before. It's never been accomplished at the University of Missouri to extend that streak to a third season. They've had opportunities several times, but whatever it's been, whether it's injury, complacency, whatever it's been. I think for us the focus is, you know, this is our team, this is our year. And so we really control the outcomes based on how hard we work, what effort we put into it. Whatever happened last year is just a learning experience for us. We've got a lot of new players on this football team, and so we can't really learn or lean on last year to dictate this year. We can only learn from last year. And I think as a staff, we learned from last year in order to shape some of the decisions that we've made this year as far as roster building, but also organization and management.
Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about Kansas coming back. What have you kind of heard about those games and what that environment is really like for Mizzou fans?
Yeah, it's an exciting opportunity for us. Obviously, it's been a while since we've been able to play those guys. Obviously, I think Coach Gates did an outstanding job in being able to be in that arena and feel the passion of the fan base for that upset this year. Just reminds us of the importance of this game, and our team needs to be very aware and keenly aware of what that game means to our fan base.
Well, when you look at fall camp, going to be here before you know it. SEC Media Day is going to be here before you know it. You know, what's kind of the goal for you, you know, as you go into this fall camp and you look at the sustains to that success that you were mentioning?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we need to do in fall camp is really push the pedal to the metal, so to speak. You know, we do have a talented football team, but we haven't proved anything yet. We have to go out there and really push ourselves. With the new changes and rules, obviously we had really good spring practice. We've been able to have summer access. Schematically, there shouldn't be a whole lot of learning going on. There should be a whole lot of refining the DNA of our team through fall camp. And really getting good work and having success and having failure and learning from both of those every day going against each other.
Well, Eli, I appreciate you making the time before the busy season all begins for you.
Well, I appreciate the time to speak to our fan base and appreciative for all that they've done in the last several years for us. And we're working really hard to continue the success, and we couldn't do it without you. Look forward to seeing you in Como on Thursday night versus UCA, MIZ.
Be here right around the corner. For the rest of you guys, we'll be right back after the break.